Hi, I'm Jazmin Bautista, and in this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how you can get your first house. I got my first house at the age of 23 right after I graduated university without the help of my parents. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Now, in this video, we're going to go through the whole process of purchasing your first house. So we're going to go over how you can prepare yourself before looking for a house, what are the best loans, how to improve your credit, the process of finding a house, and a few things I've learned from a real estate agent during this whole process. Now, the first step is to determine if you're ready for a house. Now, I know if you're watching this video is because you want to buy your first house, which is a really silly question for me to ask you this. But I want to give you as much as information because getting a house is actually a lot of responsibility and it can be a lot on your finances. Now, the reason why I bought my house at the age of 23 is because I want to rent out my properties and not live in them. So with that being said, having a house can be more expensive than renting an apartment. Because having a house, you are responsible for any home repairs, all utility costs, taxes, home insurance, and if your refrigerator stops working, guess who's gonna have to replace it? You. While in an apartment, all you have to worry about is paying your rent and paying a few utilities. But if something goes wrong, like for example, your refrigerator doesn't work, you don't have to worry about it. You just got to go to your project manager and say, hey, my refrigerator doesn't work. Can you please replace it? And their responsibility is to replace it for you. However, there's still a lot of benefits with owning a house. You can grow a lot of equity. You can rent this property. And at the end of the day, you will have a home to call yours. Now, I do want to ask you a few questions so you can verify whether this is a good purchase or not. First, make a list of what is important for you in a home. Does it make sense for you financially today? Or can you wait a few years until you can find a job that can actually provide that money for you? And lastly, are you prepared financially for maintaining a house? Now, if you decided that this is the right choice for you, I want to go over exactly the things you have to do before you start looking for a house. But if you're new to the channel, I do focus on making, saving, and growing your money. So I'd be extremely grateful if you subscribed and hit the like button if I brought you any value. Now, let's go over exactly what you need to do before you get a house, which is step number 2, build a good credit score. Now, if you have $500,000 in your bank account for your dream house, then you can go ahead and skip this step. But majority of us, like myself, need to get a loan. So if you want to get the best loan and not pay as much interest on your house, then we need to fix our credit score. Now, don't worry, I also had to fix my credit score before I got my house because at the age of 18, I actually got myself into credit card debt because I didn't know what I was doing and I wasn't making enough money. Now, I have made a few videos explaining how you can improve your credit, so you can go ahead and check those out. But I want to go over exactly what lenders are looking for when it comes to getting some loans. Your credit score is really important to lenders because it shows them how good you are at paying back the money you owe on all your loans and any debt you have. Now think of it like high school, where if you get good grades, then when you go to university, you don't really have to pay as much for tuition. That is exactly how the world works when it comes to loans. The better credit score you have, the less money you're gonna have to pay. Now let's go over some common loans that you can actually get. Now there is a conventional loan, and this one is not backed by the government. It is actually backed by the banks. So with that being said, they're a little bit more strict on their requirements. In most cases, you're gonna need a 620 credit score to qualify for this loan. However, if you are a first-time home buyer, you can actually qualify in having a 3% down payment. But if you have already purchased a house in the past, you can get as little as 5% down payment to 15%. Now let's go over the FHA loan that most people actually get, which is backed by the government. This is basically for anyone who has a low credit score or initially has more debt than others. The reason why the government did this is so it can actually motivate more people to get a house, especially if you have a family, because of course we're trying to improve our economy. The minimum credit score that you can get with an FHA is 580, and you can get a down payment of 3.5%. But if you have a credit score between 500 and 579, the government is actually going to need you to put a 10% down payment instead of 3.5%, because you most likely will default. Now, since the government is helping you purchase this property, they have some few requirements, like this house has to be your primary residence and you can't make this house an investment or your second house. Now, the really downside about having an FHA loan is that you're gonna have to pay mortgage insurance because most of the time, people lose their jobs or they tend to have so much debt they can't pay their mortgage. Now, this can range between 0.45% to 1.05% of the base loan amount. Now, don't get scared if you really want to get this loan because of your credit score. What most people actually do is that they wait until they're able to get 20% on their property to be able to go ahead and switch to the conventional loan. So if you are someone who really wants to get a house and has a family, or for whatever reason, you can actually go ahead and switch and refinance later in the future. So I can't stress this as much. Please, please, please improve your credit score for the best rates and the best loans out there. Trust me, I was in the same boat. I had to fix my credit score as well. Now, we all know that the best credit score for any type of loan is 740. They will literally give you the best interest on that loan if you have it up in those 700s. Now, the third step is to save money for the closing costs and the down payment. Now, before we go and look for our dream house, we want to go ahead and prepare ourselves for all the expenses that come with the house. Now, the down payment, it can all depend on the price of the home, the loan type that you qualify for, and of course, your credit score. Now, you may be asking, then how much should I actually save up? Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly my steps, and then you can go ahead and follow if you like. What I did was I first went to Zillow.com and I looked for the location that I wanted to buy my property. Then you can start looking for the prices of all the houses around that location, and then you'll start to realize a pattern. So let's say that majority of the houses there are $300,000. So if you want to live in that area, you can save 3 to 5% of the down payment of $300,000. If you save 3%, it could be around $9,000 that you would have to save up for. Then we have our closing costs. What exactly is closing costs? These are just expenses that you have to pay to finalize your mortgage. Now, this can typically be between 2 to 5%. So if we go back to the example of getting a $300,000 house, this can range between $5,000 to $15,000 of closing cost expenses. And lastly, you're gonna want to go ahead and save up money for any other expense like moving, like furniture, getting U-Haul, getting some tape, fixing any problems with the houses like fixing the toilet or removing the rugs. You want to go ahead and save up money for that too. That way you're prepared when you are at the house. Because then it would suck if you have to live with a broken toilet for a few months, right? Step 4 is to hire a real estate agent and find a lender to give you a loan. Once you have prepared yourself to buy your first house and you are ready to start the process of finding your dream home, it is time for you to find someone to help you get that process started. Now, I will admit that before I started looking for my house, I actually thought that you can go ahead and look for a house, and if you like it, you're like, okay, I want that house, I'm ready, I'm gonna go get a loan, I want that house, and that's it, right? But majority of the time, that's not how it works, right? You first have to get pre-approved for a loan, because that loan will tell you exactly how much you can actually borrow. So let's say that you found a house that's $300,000 and then you ended up only being able to qualify for $200,000. You're actually wasting everybody's time because you didn't prepare yourself by getting pre-approved with a lender. So here are some basic things that some lenders actually look for when they want to get you pre-approved. They're gonna go ahead and want 1 to 2 years of your tax return. Majority of the time, it's 2 years. This just basically shows them that you have a consistent income coming in. Then they want to go ahead and have 2 to 6 months of your bank statements. That will show them all your bills and debts. Then of course they want your pay stubs, and sometimes they're gonna go ahead and actually call your workplace to verify that you work there. Then they're gonna go ahead and get a full credit report. So they're gonna go ahead and get a hard inquiry on your report. That just basically means that they're gonna go ahead and check your credit to see exactly how much you can qualify. Then they're gonna go ahead and ask you for around 2 to 6 months of savings of your expenses. That way they know that if something happens like with your job and you lose it, then they know that you will be able to go ahead and pay your mortgage. Now, personally, I first found a real estate agent who helped me get a good lender. Majority of the time, real estate agents already have this established. They already know contractors, they already know, lenders, they know all the people around the loops. So they can actually provide you a lot of resources that you probably won't be able to do it on your own if you're not a professional. But however, if you want to go ahead and find your own lender, go ahead and find your own, title company or whatever it is, you can go ahead and do that on your own. But majority of the time, real estate agents already have all of this under their belt for you, and you don't even have to worry about that process. Step 5 is to see multiple houses. Now, in the beginning of the video, I did ask you to know exactly what you're looking for. You need to know how many bedrooms you want. You need to know what kind of kitchen you want. Do you want a lot of living rooms or just one living room? Do you want a 1-story, 2-story? Do you want a big yard? Do you want a small yard? Do you want a pool? And all of these are very essential, especially how many bathrooms you want. Because when you're looking for a property and you tell your agent, you know what, this is exactly what I need for me and my family, it makes the process way easier. Because if you're just guessing and your real estate agent doesn't really know what you want, then in reality, the process is going to take longer. And what if there is a house that is exactly your dream house, but you don't realize it's your dream house until 2 weeks later, and then someone already put an offer and already got the house, right? So to make things easier for you and for everyone else, please be mindful of what exactly you want, so then when you're looking, you don't have to guess, you know exactly what you're looking for. Now you might think this is common sense, but my real estate agent told me that most people really don't know what they're looking for when they're looking for a house. Now the good part, right? Once you found your dream house, it is time for you to put an offer. The moment that you like the house, your agent is going to go ahead and prepare a packet that has an offer, that has everything that the seller needs to be able to go ahead and send it to them. That way they can go ahead, approve or decline your offer. Now, once you put an offer and the seller accepts, you can't really leave until the next step that I'm gonna talk to you about. But we wanna go ahead and talk about this because my agent told me something very important, and it is, if you find a house that you really like, and you know, there's competition, there's so many other people who are, because that's how it is. If you find a good house and you know, it's your dream house, other people are gonna see that house and be like, wow, this is such a good house, I want it too. So there's gonna be competition. So what you wanna do is, of course, get the best deal possible. But in this moment of time, you're trying to lure the seller, right? Because the seller himself wants to get the highest offer. So if the offer is $300,000, go ahead and put $2,000, $5,000 more if you have a lot of competition, because at the end of the day, 10, 20 years from now, wouldn't matter if you're paying $30 to $60 extra every month. Majority of the time you're gonna say no, right? Because it's your dream house. This is where your family was raised. You've lived here for such a long time that in reality, it doesn't matter because you're happy, right? So please don't be scared to offer a little bit more if there's a lot of competition and you really like this house, because at the end of the day, if you tried your best and you didn't get it, there's still other houses, right? Now step 7 is to get a house inspection. If the seller likes the offer you made, the bank will actually require you to have a home inspection for 2 reasons. For one, to see if the value of the house is exactly matching the loan that you're gonna get, and number 2, to see if there are any problems with the houses that you can't really see with your eye, right? It can be, you know, maybe the walls, maybe they need to replace any dry walls, maybe they need to replace, you know, the rugs, or sometimes sometimes the toilets don't even work. So one thing that my real estate agent told me that is completely, you know, different than what I've ever heard is never send them a list with all the problems the house have, with, you know, how much it's going to cost you to fix those problems. Because at the end of the day, you're looking to get credit back so then you can go ahead and fix the house. So if at any moment, you know, you send them a list saying, hey, you need to fix the rug, you know, I need, you know, one of the problems is the rug is ruined, so it's going to cost me $800 to replace it. I need to fix the toilet, that's going to cost me $2,000 or whatever it is, right? What the seller can do is come and bag and say, hey, you know, I see that you want the rug fixed for $800, but I actually have a friend who can fix it for me for $500. Okay, you want the toilet fixed for $2,000. I can get a really cheap toilet and only fix it for maybe $500, $800. So in reality, what you're doing is you're having more problems by doing that. So what you can actually do is send the report back to the seller and ask them for a credit. For example, it can be a sum of $25,000. So your agent could be, hey, I got the report back. It's going to cost my client $25,000 to fix all of this, but we will go ahead and just, you know, ask for a $20,000 credit. Majority of the time, you will get the seller to approve that credit, and that will actually help you at the end of the day. Then we go to step 8, which is pay the closing costs and get the keys to your house. Once the seller and you have approved of all the terms and you've signed everything and you've went to go pay for all the costs, which is your down payment and the closing costs, the real estate agent that was with you will go ahead and go to the house with you, give you the key, and of course all the paperwork. And just like that, in the public records, this property is yours. Now, if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment with any questions you have, and I'll see you in the next video.